Hello, you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beard Brigade. I'm John Solo, you are not, and if you notice, the ticker is just now starting because, well, I just remembered to update the ticker. I didn't get a chance to write my new little funny bit in there, so I'm still yodeling this week, but hey, what the fuck. Anyways, we are working on some fun stuff this week. I'll tell you what we're doing in the studio, then we'll get to our guest. This is going to be a good one today, by the way. I hope you get to see this one live. First off, today we are starting a new series for a new client to us. This is CJ Dragon, and she's a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing. You guys are going to like this a lot. It's fantasy romance, which is a genre I don't get to do a lot. I really enjoy it. The book is called The Price of Surrender. It's Durrani Book 1, and I'm starting that today. I'm working on pre-production today. We're actually going to start recording most likely tomorrow morning. Then we are going into, I have an, you guys won't like this one very much. I have an MF project later on in the week. So no pussy for you, I know. But then we're going into, what is it? No, Not All Himbos Wear Capes. Villainous Things, Book 1 by C. Rochelle. It's going to be awesome. So that's what we got going on this weekend. Anyways, other than that, we got the Ramblin' Gremlin coming up on Thursday. We don't have any due-out readings this week, but I'll be in Discord all week, so drop in there. And I think that's it. Now, our guest today, or should I say guests. Now, I am not to blame if shit goes wrong here, okay? Because I was fiddling with tech all day because I was like, well, I know how to do it, but can I make it better? And so, yeah, but if something fucks up, I'll fix it, I promise. But we have now, I didn't ask the gals if I'm saying this right. Mika Nix, I believe is how they are saying the name. And it's a kind of a combo deal. Well, you guys know these people. I'm going to bring everybody on here. We have on the left, upper left here, Kyleen Neuhold. On the upper right, we have Mia Monroe. Hello, how the hell are you guys?
Good, yeah.
Did I say it right? Mika Nix, is that the official title?
That is
Yeah,
it, yeah.
I was coached, by the way. Tracy told me how to do that. But yeah, anyways, I'm very excited about this because you two are both incredibly well-loved authors in the genre here. People talk about you constantly, and I've had both of you on the show before. We're all friendly here. Tell me, you two had worked together before, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we wrote an MMM contemporary book last year in January that was published. And that was just kind of test the waters. Like, you never know. You could be best friends in the world. That doesn't mean you're going to be good co-writers.
Well, yeah.
So that was definitely, kind of see how it worked. And yeah, from there we sort of decided to keep doing it.
So you dated a little bit before marriage. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't just hop right in bed without a test out.
Was there any pre-cum involved in the right? No. Anyways,
so much.
Yeah.
Well, Red Mountaintop, yeah, there's a lot involved.
Have we talked about the phenomenon of leaky dicks in our genre recently? I'm not sure if that's been.
I love it. I will die on the hill of buckets of pre-cum. I do not care. I love it. I will. You can pry it out of my cold dead hands.
There's
We've
a
seen
theory.
evidence of it in porn. We've seen evidence
true,
of it,
yep.
so I think it's a thing.
Yeah, that's called CGI, and or they need to get it. They need to get it checked, one or the other. So there are two camps in this. One is the copious amounts of it's just tripping, but the other one is when I come across this though. Sometimes it's in a sex scene, and you got to understand when I'm recording a sex scene, it's not like I'm getting into it. Like I'm not rubbing my nips or nothing. It's work, and you're thinking about a lot of shit going on here. But then they get to the line about the just leaky faucet that it is, and I die laughing I can't keep a straight. So if you guys hear me, if anybody in the crowd hears me narrating one of those scenes, I'm giggling on the inside.
Well,
So
now you know how we felt when we heard "WAP" by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. All of us were like, "Okay, it's catchy, but I don't think that's a thing. And if it is, you should probably go to the doctor if you need a bucket."
It's a bit much.
Right over the top.
I heard a comedian. What was a Christmas song that just got canceled? Was it last year? It's Cold Outside.
Oh, that got canceled way longer ago than last year. That was years ago. You're behind.
Couple few. Yeah. A couple of years. I heard a comedian relate WAP to that, And he was like, I was wondering why this got canceled and everything else. I wanted to make sure. So the number one song that year was, and he started reading the lyrics to WAP and like breaking it down and comparing verse to verse, like which should maybe be. Yeah, it was hilarious to me.
But hey, one's consensual and one isn't. That's all. That's all you need.
How else would that have been a WAP?
Yep.
I get it entirely. So
Yep.
the book that you wrote prior was Mountaintop. Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
Excellent. And you two liked each other so much, you decided to continue. Um,
Yep.
in this relationship, this writing relationship, who's the top and who's the bottom here? I mean,
So, okay, this is a tricky one because honestly, most of the time I'm like so submissive. Like, we have an ongoing joke where Mia like tells me to do something or, whatever, and I say, yes, daddy. Like, it is a thing. But when it
wow.
comes to actually writing the books, I tend to get a little pushy.
Yeah. You got your line in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a switch for sure.
Yeah.
You can go back and forth
That's fantastic.
depending on the topic.
I was
For sure.
when you throw out a question like that, even amongst friends, sometimes like you're always prepared for a fuck off, John. Yeah, like I'm always waiting for that in the back of my mind. But who
We
came
say
up
our top and bottom as well.
Yep.
who came up with the concept for the series?
I think
I mean, we
Kyleen
came up with it
did.
together. Yeah, I definitely wanted to write dragons. I remember that for sure because I've been dying to write dragons for years.
Hmm.
I can't actually remember how the topic of bodyguards came up, other than just talking about like, okay, so if we write some dragons, what do we do with that? Like, what do these dragons do? Who are they? What's their life?
Our
Yes, I think it's kind
process
of
is very much our process is very much like a conversation. We don't
yeah.
sit down and just like beat ourselves up over this or that. We literally just feed off of each other. So
Hmm.
once we were like dragons, we were like, okay, well, dragons have to be possessive and they have to be this and they have to be that. So what kind of job do they do? Oh, bodyguards. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, what is their last name? And then we just kind of flow with stuff. That's one of the really good things about our relationship is you can give us a prompt and we'll plot a book in 20 minutes.
Hmm.
Yep.
Are
Yeah, there's a lot
you
of when we're plotting, there's a lot of like, oh wait, but what about this idea? Okay, wait, hold on. So if we take that and we do this, it's very collaborative and a lot of fun and high energy when we're plotting together.
are
Yeah.
you you're different locations, obviously. So
Mhm.
so you're always doing this online. Are you using like a Skype or something like that, or the telephone, or chat, or how are you doing it?
Usually
We just
Facebook
use Facebook
Messenger.
Messenger most of the time.
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
Yep. And we
But
usually,
we
even
visit
before
each
we were
other.
co-writing, yeah, we do like
Yeah.
weekly Facebook calls anyways, even when we're not co-writing. So just kind of work that into our
Yeah.
regular routine.
We're besties on top of being
Yep.
co-writers. So
Yep.
but we visit each other a couple of times a year too. So we do things in person sometimes too.
excellent. So I'm
We're
assuming
besties.
the families and stuff are down and get along with this whole, poly.
And it took some adjusting from our husbands. Let's say that we get a little bit of shit from them, like, oh, like,
Little
did you talk to your
adjustment.
girlfriend today?
Yeah, no, I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was an adjustment for them to share us.
That's awesome. Somebody in the crowd
Oh,
asked,
you're staying in the same
and
room with Carol? Oh, okay.
I don't really know what this means. Maybe you do. Do we get some husky chat? Does that mean something to you?
Oh, they probably can hear my
No.
dogs in the background
Oh, okay.
wrestling.
So they I thought it was your child, but
They're
I remember your huskies, so it makes perfect sense to me now.
my
So
children.
yeah,
It is
yeah.
a child. It's a furry one.
They're
Well,
mad at me
and
Hey,
right now
John,
because I didn't put them
I
outside,
have
so
to
now they're
point out,
wrestling, so like they're
mm,
upset.
uh, I have to point out that I kept this since GRL just for this moment, just so I was like you and had one somewhere in my office. It sits on my shelf next to my laptop. And my husband came in the room one day and he goes, "Do I want to know why you have a penis on your monitor?" And I was like,
You
"It's
only
for
have one
John."
dick in
And
your
he said,
office?
"I do. I only have one
That
dick
is
in
a
my office."
startlingly low number of dicks.
Well, I ate all the other ones, so this is the only one
it's
I had.
girl got to eat. Uh, I,
I
mine.
ate the bag of dicks. Somebody gave us at GRL. I ate several bags of dicks, and this is all I have left. But It is for you, John. It is for you.
Well, anytime you would not be the first or the last person to send me dicks. I get more dicks in my P.O. box than any. It might be a record. I should check with Guinness. I'm not sure if there's a record for dicks in a mailbox, but mine's got to be it. My little, and I'm sure they because I only check it once every few weeks too, so they stack up. And I'm not the post office. They're walking by the P.O. boxes and they're all. But anyways, mine melted. Mine was soap, and it was given to me by the great Jamie Luther. And so every morning I'd come into the booth and I'd be like, well, where can I hide it today? And it was fun and everything. But then it started. These are made of burlap. They're burlap covers over rock wool insulation. They're called sound baffles. And well, it turns out the burlap gets all over the cock and it's sticky and it's kind of a gross, horrendous affair that goes on at the end. You wouldn't want to. It's not.
Doesn't
All
sound
that
pleasant.
copious
No.
pre-cum sticking to it.
Yeah. That one of the things that we just talked about there was completely natural and happened in my booth, and the other is a lie. So.
Hey, I saw a Reddit post the other day where this guy was complaining that his boyfriend had way too much pre-cum. So it is a thing. I will die on that hill.
How did my life get like this? Like, I didn't imagine this 10 years ago.
You also are the one that brought it up, for the record.
It is very true. Well, the shit that goes through my head, I never, what you think all day long, what you think is really who you are. It makes up your existence, and I never imagined in a million years I'd be thinking about dick all day long. And I mean,
what a
here we
glorious
are.
life, though, isn't it?
it actually kind of is. I can't imagine it any other way at this point.
I think of boobs a lot more than I think of dick, but my
I just
job
think of
requirement
it's the
requires
all
a
butt
bit of dick.
channel in my mind, like just really shapely butts all day long. That's all I think about.
See, I kind of like the way you think, Kyleen. I do. Somebody in the crowd said it's a dick in a box. I love that.
There you go.
Exactly.
There
So
you go.
with the series, you've got 2 out. I'm assuming
Mhm.
you have a third one planned as well, and you're going to continue on.
Yes. Yeah, book 2 is actually coming out this Friday, and then I'm going to visit Mia in just a couple weeks here, and we're going to be plotting book 3. So I think we're thinking probably like a summer-ish release, but we'll see.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And how is the this is a hard question to ask because it's kind of early. The 2 books in any career, like if you were talking to another author and they said, we've written 2 books, you'd be like, well, even though I know collectively you've written a hell of a lot more than that, but this is pretty early on. But how's the reception? I mean, are you getting a feeling from the fans? Are sales good? I mean, does this feel like something?
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
pretty much as good as we
wild.
could have hoped for. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
We
they've
were
been really
surprised.
excited and sorry, go ahead, Mia.
No, it's fine. We were surprised by how many initial pre-orders we got.
Mhm.
And we really tried hard to make sure that readers knew it was us,
Yeah.
to hopefully get a little bit of name recognition there. But if you don't know, now you know that the majority of readers grabbing books on Amazon are not on social media. They're not on Facebook, they're not on IG, and they're not in our newsletter. They're just
Mhm.
getting it from Amazon through Amazon recommendations or,
Mhm.
the algorithm there. And so you can't really promote, who you are to them. So we just had to hope that we were, priming our audience enough to get the reviews going and get a little hype going so that Amazon would recommend it to people. And
Mhm.
yeah, I'd say that we both were really pleasantly surprised and happy with
Yeah.
how well it did. And also, we have a Facebook group, and
Mhm.
shout out to any wicked hot mates that are watching right now, but they are active
They
and
are. Yeah.
excited and engaged, and they post memes and dragon themed things all day. And it just feels really, really good that you have like a community you built around a book. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we both tried to go in with fairly low expectations. Like we're treating this as a debut author with a debut book, but yeah, it did awesome. Yeah.
It's so exciting too. Building something new again,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is fantastic.
Yeah.
The when you guys are doing the actual process, simpler question, but I always ask this of I can't say that. I guess I've only had one other dual author pair on before, and that was Ancatra and Bird. So I can't say I always ask this question. I don't want to lie or anything. I'm gonna ask it though. Are you trading chapters or are you trading scenes? Are each one of you taking a character or point of view, or are you working it in a different way?
We go back and forth on chapters. Yeah, we just swap back and forth.
And are you
So we both
handling?
write both. Yeah, we both
Okay,
write
yeah,
all characters. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
which helps us in a lot of ways. I think it creates some consistency, but
Mhm,
also what's interesting is that Kyleen and I have very similar writing styles.
mhm.
And so that might not work for other co-writers. It might be
Yeah,
very jolting to switch things, and it might be better for them to switch characters.
Mm-hmm.
Each
mhm.
character then has kind of their own voice, if you will. But our style is so
Yeah,
similar that we sort of feed off of each other, and
mhm.
it ends up being a really seamless process for both of
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
And I think the positive thing about it too, we've noticed is that we both tend to level ourselves up
yeah.
based on the other person's writing.
Mm-hmm.
Each
Mhm.
chapter, we're like, oh, that was good. So now I'm going to have to try and match Kyleen. And then
Yep.
she'll say something like that to me. And so, we are constantly bringing our best to this because you
Mhm.
actually have a direct comparison in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Whereas when you write by yourself, you only have yourself to compare
yeah.
to, and you're not as objective as you are when you're reading somebody else's work. So I think that's why our co-writing relationship works really well.
Mhm.
That's an interesting dynamic as well because I would think that you would be trying to entertain your best friend at that point. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
I
writing a
definitely
chapter
think
for him. Yeah.
there's some of that. Yeah, and we've been alpha reading for each other for years now, and
Mm-hmm.
so I think that kind of made it a little bit easier for this process too, because we're already used to reading each other's chapters every day, critiquing each other's chapters every day. Yeah, writing things to entertain each other to a certain extent. So I think that sort of made the transition a little bit smoother into co-writing also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
How
it's
do
really
you?
funny because we'll write something and we'll be like, "Oh, I hope she finds that one," or "I hope she
Mhm.
likes that quote."
Yeah,
So you're kind of thinking of her reaction
yeah.
as you're writing, whether it's a single book or a co-written book. So
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mhm.
I think that's awesome. Plus, we write at the same speed.
Yeah.
We, we plot and we write, and our method, if you will, is very much the
Mhm.
same too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So one of us isn't waiting, days or weeks
Right.
for the other person to catch up. I mean, we talk about our schedule, we come up with a plan, and we just do it.
Mhm. Yep.
Now we have a lot of authors who watch this show. I've never
Mhm.
actually done a poll, but um, it's a lot. So I try and ask industry related questions that are maybe there are some people that are just readers here as well. And just as
Mhm.
wrong. You get what I mean.
Yeah.
How this is a technical question. Feel free to answer or tell me to fuck off. But how do you
Mhm.
split the finances? I mean, you have one Kindle account. I'm assuming. Is somebody in charge of that and pays it out? How are you gonna is it knives? You split the stick and only one person comes out. How does it work?
But yeah, we just wrestle each other. Whoever wins gets the payout that month.
I wouldn't fuck
So
with Mia. I've got to say, I would not fuck with Mia.
No, she would take me down. Actually, so part of the reason we decided to, instead of doing it as KM Neuhold and Mia Monroe, the reason we created Mika Nix in part was because we wanted to have a separate Amazon account. And that's all well and good, except that Amazon gets so far up your ass, like, oh, it's see that you are using a name of another author on your book. Like, no matter how many times you try to tell them that
Mm-hmm.
it's you're the author who's using your name. And so we kind of talked about it and we decided, you know what, let's skip all of that drama and just do a pen name. So yeah, so it's easy to split because it's coming into a joint account and then we just work it out from there.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I had a nightmare in the beginning of my business, and I think it's a little simpler your setup, but where I had 6 to 8 actors that worked for me, sometimes up
Mhm.
to a dozen at a time, and some of them would be getting royalties from me. So every month we would have to do a
Mhm.
royalty calculation and split out
Mhm.
one large payment to Falcon out to six,
Yeah.
8, 10. It was a nightmare. I ended up buying them
Hmm.
all out eventually just to not have to do the math. It was
Yeah.
math
Yeah.
wrath.
It gets to be a
Every
minute.
month.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I don't
I
blame you.
every month when I do my numbers, It's a lot because I do, I've co-written with Nora, I have co-writes with
Hmm.
Mia. Like, it gets complicated even having separate accounts. So I can't even imagine having 6 people you have to pay.
Yeah, I just wanted to act. That's all I wanted to. That's my plan. Looking at the comments here, one person said that they've definitely recognized some Kyleenisms in the text of these books.
I'd be curious, what are these?
Well, so I'm going to move on to another comment. Somebody else said, if it's a lot of pre-cum, it's definitely Kyleen.
That is true.
But here's the nice thing about dragons too. We worked this into the actual lore. Like, that is part of their physiology. They have a lot of pre-cum as part of their genetics.
That's one of the check boxes, huh? Pre-cum or
Yep.
no? Yeah, this one? Yeah.
The
World building,
paranormal stuff
pre-cum.
lets you do whatever you want.
Well, yeah,
Yep.
You
sure.
can't say it isn't real.
Yeah, dragons
Right.
could dragon. I would imagine if I saw a dragon and he was copiously leaking pre-cum, I would believe
I'd be
that. I
like,
would be like,
checks out, right? Yeah.
all right, makes
Right?
perfect sense.
Checks out.
Yeah, it's just not like, which profession do we have today? And a carpenter, or and it
Right.
is just like random. Like, how many bananas did that man have to eat? So sorry about all that. That maybe went a bit far. Um, so, are you able to have free time? Well, one more question leading up that I was. So, are you writing for your own pen names as well now as Duel, or are you just you're rolling with this for a while?
No, yeah, we're
No,
both
we write
working
for
on our
ourselves
solo
too.
stuff too. It slowed down my beginning of the year schedule just a little. I would have wanted to have a release probably in February or March, but my next one's going to be in April because of
Yeah,
just trying to juggle the co-writes. But other than that, yeah, I mean, we're both pretty much working on our own stuff too.
yeah,
Yeah, we have
I'm gonna go put
heavy
some
writing
huskies out really
schedules.
quick. I'm gonna be right back. You guys
yeah.
talk.
Go right ahead. All right, she's gone. Now we can talk. No.
Okay, so really, no. Um, we do have heavy writing schedules because we do have to balance our own work. We both have Patreons, so we
Mhm,
write for Patreon, we write our own solo projects, and we work on co-writes. So we just have to schedule our time well,
mhm,
and that's what we do. We get it done.
mhm.
Scheduling is hard.
It is.
It's annoying more than hard.
Yeah.
I.
You get your own business so that you can kind of do whatever you want,
Mhm.
Right.
but you can't really do whatever you want because you have to do work in order to
Yep.
produce an income. So,
Hmm.
you can fuck off for an afternoon, but you're going to pay for it later. So, you
Right.
know,
Yeah,
there's myths.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
myths around this whole self-employed stuff.
Right.
yeah. Well, we're coming up on the tax season thing, and I'm like,
Oh
Uh,
god, yeah.
oh no, that just takes a long, 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 long time every time, and I just there's I'm
Dread it every
really,
time.
yeah, and
every
I'm
year,
really, I can't. I'm ADD to the core, so when I get into it, like, I need to take a break every couple hours and go
Hmm.
just take my shirt off and scream running through the neighborhood or something, just bah, and
Yep.
then I'm
it's the
back.
worst thing ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
People who don't have to do like I've heard that there are people in this world who have like such simple taxes that they just fill out like one little form, like a 1040, and they get money back from the government.
I
Like I've
I
heard
miss the
that.
days
I
when I
think
would
it's
just
a
log into
lie.
TurboTax and get like $3,000 back. Like, that was amazing.
Remember those days? We were like 25, but it was a real thing
Right.
for a while.
Right.
Well,
To be
Now it's
fair,
like,
I
how
was
many
like
thousands of dollars did I write the government this month?
to be fair, I was dirt broke and like I would maybe eat a bag of chips for lunch and that would be all I could eat for the whole day. So I
We
guess I
were all
shouldn't
broke
envy
back
those times too.
then. That's the crazy system. We were all broke
Right.
back then, and then we got money back from the government. Like it made no
Right.
sense.
yeah, I remember recently, it wasn't that long ago, I was going through a fast food restaurant buying whatever I wanted and
Hmm.
just suddenly coming to me, man, I remember going through lunch at like Wendy's every day when I was
Hmm.
20 and like I got $2. This is
Hmm.
what I'm
Yep.
Counting
and
You're
it
your
like
was
scouring them out. What's the dollar menu? Okay, two
counting your
items off the
quarters
dollar menu.
so you can get
yeah.
another dollar out.
the quarters, and some of them still have like a little,
The
like,
quarters.
shit you probably shouldn't have on quarters, and you're giving me yeah, I get it
Yep.
entirely.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm so old that
Been there.
Taco Bell used to have a 59, 79, 99 menu, and they had food on their menu for 59 cents.
oh
I
yeah, the
really
bean
remember that,
I
like
grapes.
soft shell
I have
tacos. I remember
dollar
going through the drive-through at night, like
yeah,
late at night when I was in high
they had
school. Yeah,
cheap
yeah.
taco. They had
Hot
tacos.
box in the
If
car,
you
and they
wanted
go
a
gonna get like
taco
2 dozen
supreme,
tacos.
yeah, you wanted a taco supreme, it was 79 cents. Those were the days, man. Do you know how much a supreme taco is now? I don't know, but it's probably like $3 probably. I don't
No,
know.
honestly, I stopped at Taco Bell the other day, and it was like $24 for 3 items at Taco Bell. At
Yeah,
fucking Taco Bell.
yeah. I remember eating like a king for $5. For $5,
Oh
you
yeah,
could have. There's 12
yeah.
items in front of you.
Yeah,
You know
That's too
you.
much food back in the
yeah,
day
yep.
from Taco Bell for $5.
Yeah, I
Now it's like
remember. Well,
Mm-hmm.
so
I remember.
there's this trade-off that happens, and when I did it
Mm-hmm.
and I got into self-employment, the taxes thing were a huge, and I
Mm-hmm.
buried myself. I did an absolutely horrible job on it, but it's almost enough at times to make me think, man. But you see, the problem with me, there's really no companies out there hiring audiobook narrators, and
No.
certainly not.
Right.
And so we're gonna have to play indie, or we're gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
do it. But the admin work alone on the back end makes me realize
Mm-hmm.
why some people have decided self-employment. Like I
Isn't
get
for
it
Mm-hmm.
them.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I
And
also
being
get why.
ADHD,
Yeah, go ahead,
go
please.
ahead. Yeah,
No.
both of us are ADHD. And so,
Mm-hmm.
you know, forcing yourself to fit into like a corporate culture or some other workplace
Mm-hmm.
culture for years, you fall into that because, well, for one, you think that's all you can do, right? So
Yeah.
there's that. But also, I can see why, now having been on the other side of it, why a lot of people are like, it's easier to mask and blend in than it is to go do your own
Mm-hmm.
thing, because time is irrelevant to people with ADHD,
Yeah.
and you have to somehow manage and structure your own time to
Yeah.
get stuff done. It's rough. And the admin
It
stuff
is.
it's a nightmare.
Yeah,
The
it
admin
is.
stuff is so bad.
Oh
When
yeah.
we recently just hired a new PA, that the two of us are sharing, and like in her little interview process, I had said to her, "Your main job is ADHD wrangling." All these days, I'm like, "Shit, I forgot to do that." I just remembered this. Oh, could you go look back in one of my old books and tell me this guy's last name? Like, that's going to be your main job, is compensating for the fact that I cannot stay on task.
Yeah, you and me
Yeah.
both. Just
Pulling us back out of rabbit holes.
well,
Right.
today, after being reminded for multiple weeks that I had two guests on today, I reached out. It said in my little tracker, Monroe, so I knew I had
Mhm.
Mia. I was like, all right, I got Mia. Wasn't there this two thing coming up? Because just yesterday, Tracy had reminded me again that, of course, it was you two together today. That's how my brain, like, that's not important. I have it written
In and
down
out,
somewhere. I don't need that.
in
Yep.
Just
and out, in and
that's
out.
that's exactly
It's
how it
quite
works with
amazing
me.
that we do what we do if you think
Right?
about it.
Yeah, it really
Any
is.
of us, you know,
Is yours like
but we do.
I've been thinking about my process a lot lately and the hyper
Mhm.
focus that's required for it, which is
Mhm.
perfect for ADD. It's a
Mhm.
super
Uh-huh.
hyper focus. You can't come out of it. I suppose at the end of a chapter I come out of it for a second, but other than
Mhm.
that, it's locked for an hour and a half, 2 hours at a time. Do
Mhm.
you
Right.
do that in your writing where you lose time? Does that happen?
Yeah.
If I'm
Yeah,
having a
I would
good
say,
day,
yeah, when you're having a good day, I would say, early on in my career, that was like how I got by. Like, there's so many people who said to me, like, I can't believe you write so many books. You have ADHD. But it was literally like all I thought about. I
all you
barely
did,
ate.
all
I
you thought
barely
about.
slept. Like, during my regular 9 to 5 job, I would be sneaking to like write during my lunch break, during in between calls, whatever I needed to do. And then kind of as time went on, I think that has cooled off a lot. And luckily, recently I got medicated, because last year it was starting to get to the point where it was much bigger struggle to actually stay on task and sit down every day. Because it's like, all right, I've been doing this for 6 years now. Like, sit at my desk and write the words, and yeah. So it's been a little bit of a journey, like getting medicated for the first time for my ADHD. Yeah, but that's been going well.
Dude, that's
I'm
awesome.
not medicated still because I can't seem to find the right thing.
Yeah.
But so I just sort of get like in the zone when things are going really well. And then I'm kind of in that world with them. And those are
Mhm.
just like the best days. And those are the days
Yeah.
that you're like, this is why I do this, and I'm good at this. And you feel
Mhm.
so amazing that you get to coast on that for a little while until the
Yeah.
next day when you literally can't get a damn word out of you.
Yep.
All you want to do is scroll Pinterest or TikTok, and you're like, what is wrong with me? So
Uh-huh.
it's definitely a wave and a roller coaster that I ride on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Well,
But those zone
I
moments, those are the
So
yeah,
good.
that lock in, that hyper focus, it'll go on for me. I record 4 to 6 hours a day, like in the actual booth, and like if I do a 6 hour day, I am fried at the end of it,
Mhm.
mentally
yeah,
fried. And it's really hard for me to go on to move on to other things like taxes, for instance. Like
mhm,
Mhm.
that's a like it seems impossible for me to go from one to the other in a
impossible.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Now I'm not medicated. I'm not medicated specifically because I've done a shit ton of speed in my life and I really like it. And I don't think that's such a good idea for
A
me.
little dangerous, yeah.
But so I've been a nicotine addict as well my whole life. 14 years old was when I started smoking cigarettes. I switched over to vaping, and I did that for a few years. And then, unfortunately, about 6 months ago, I went back to smoking cigarettes occasionally, and now it's become a real goddamn problem. So
Mhm.
it's not good. It's not good for
Yeah.
me in general. But I'm a voice actor, so I've been quitting for like 3 months. I can get up to like 5 days, five
Oof.
days, and then
Yeah.
the, ultimately there's something missing in my life.
Mhm.
So I'll smoke for a day or two and then I'll right back 5 days and yeah. So
Mhm.
I'm on day one again of no. And
Mhm.
there's these crazy moments of an extreme focus. And then you couldn't get me to remember my mother's name.
Uh-huh.
It's fucked up.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
Self-induced
that
obviously. But
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Totally relate to that.
no, you're chasing dopamine, those moments that you're going to get the cigarette, you're chasing, you're
Yeah.
chasing the reward of having that. And I don't smoke, but I can put down a box of donuts like nothing you've ever
Oh
seen,
my
sir.
god.
Samesies.
So
Yeah.
that's where we both get our, dopamine response from is like a sugar burst. And so
Mhm.
I've been working since October, I think, and Kyleen a little longer than that. We've both
Yeah.
been changing our physical habits to stop eating
It's hard.
for dopamine. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Every bad day, my initial
Yeah.
instinct is a piece of cake would make this a lot better.
And it's
That's
true.
not
It
true,
would
but
make it better, and that's what makes it so
it would
hard.
make it better. It would make it better. It would be so much nicer.
I
But
get
I
it.
was getting very fat, and so um, and I'm no spring chicken, so I have to worry about diseases that people over 25 have to worry about. And
I uh, I eat a lot of sugar as well, and sometimes I will go for months without sugar. In
Mhm.
fact, at one
Can't
point I
even
went for
imagine
six
it.
months.
I can't even
Um,
go hours without sugar. This is
I
yeah,
mind-boggling.
I can barely make half an
we're
afternoon without it.
well, we're about to kick into this. We do Whole Foods a lot, but we'll
Okay.
go through periods of a few months where the sugar's a wonderful thing. It's a hell of a drug. We're about to kick into another round in March again, where
Mhm.
we're going strictly Whole Foods for at least 30
Mhm.
days and probably 60 and somewhere in there. But I don't tend to get fat from sugar. Now I can, but
Mhm.
I just tend to work out a lot. Like I go to the
Mm.
gym a lot and I do some yoga and all, and I
Mhm.
jogged and like I have to. If I don't, like it's plus I get
Yep.
so distracted with the ADD. I
Yeah.
if I don't
I wish I could exercise for joy.
I know.
where
And
Exercise,
my problem is
exercise is punishment
I
to
get
me.
so bored exercising. Like I've
hmm
tried so many exercises and they're just so boring. I've
oh yeah
tried yoga, I tried jogging, I recently I've been doing VR boxing.
hmm
And that is actually fun, but now like I was doing it for months. I was doing it almost every day and now I'm like, oh, if I have to see the fucking VR boxing again, I'm gonna shoot myself. So
Yeah,
that's my problem. I
the
cannot stick to a
novelty is
workout routine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the novelty wears off, and then we can't
Right.
make ourselves do things anymore.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
I have
hard.
to constantly change them. When I
Mhm.
first started into working out again, my best friend and I did her name is Chloe Ting, this gal on YouTube. Chloe Ting, we call her Devil Ting. She's this little Asian woman. She's perfectly built with fantastic geometry and symmetry. She's just a gorgeous woman, and
Mhm.
she's the meanest fucking. I mean, she is. So she has these routines, and they're. It's like we'll plank for 30 seconds, or we'll do a push up into a plank for 45 seconds, and
Yeah.
she's got this horrible dancey music playing in the background, and she gives a challenge. It's like, do my workout for 2 weeks. So we
Mm.
did this, and it was hell on earth. But I
Yeah.
wasn't going to stop because my friend, she was doing the same thing, and I wasn't going to fucking stop. The end of 2 weeks, though, I noticed like, it was observable difference in all of my
Oh, wow.
proportions. It was
Mhm.
2 weeks time. That's not very
Wow.
long in the world of
No,
me.
it's
But
not
you're
So
in the
lucky. You're a
workout world.
man. The testosterone helps you out so much.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
it does.
It makes a big difference.
yeah, but I
Did
mean
your
that just
female friends see observable differences in 2 weeks?
Yes, that's what I would like to know. Did your female friend see observable
yes,
differences?
actually, she
Okay.
did. We ended up doing two or three other challenges, and then I had to
Okay.
move on to something else. I got bored as fuck,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
is what I do, and I started swimming.
Mhm.
Then I went from swimming to yoga. Then I went from yoga to jogging. Then I went from
Mhm.
jogging to lifting weights. And now I'm on lifting weights and yoga. And my wife is
Mhm.
lifting weights with me as well, which is
Nice.
awesome.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
Yeah,
yeah, like one of us will
women
inspire
should
the
lift.
other.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did buy
women
this
should
whole set
lift.
of weights in the fall. I've touched them exactly twice, so I really should get back to that. I aspire to start attending a yoga class, but my other problem is anything that I actually have to leave the house for is like 80% less likely to
So
happen
hard.
on a
Oh,
routine
yeah.
So
basis.
not gonna happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
so not gonna happen. Plus, I'm in really bad shape now. I know this from
Oh,
having such a sedentary lifestyle. And so,
Hmm.
like, the idea of going and demonstrating that in front of
it's
strangers is
embarrassing.
no, thank you. I'd
Yeah.
rather hoof it out and sweat and grunt in my living room than
Right.
go out. But I am working on trying to be social and leave my house more often because
Mhm.
my neighbors refer to me as a vampire, which obviously I enjoy. But they'll make comments if they see me outside during the day, like, "Oh, look, does the sunshine hurt?" I'm like, "Shut up." Yes, it
You're like,
does.
yeah, kind of.
Actually, it does. I live
Well,
in
the
Arizona. The sun hurts.
yeah, the issue really though is being somewhere on time. It's not necessarily, I would think, for
Mhm.
me at least, even leaving the house, is that I have to be there at a particular time. That'll fuck me up every
Mhm.
time. I'm not very good at that.
I'm like
See,
the
I
early ADHD person.
yeah, I was gonna say
Mm.
I'm the same because I
Because
like
I have
my thing
anxiety about
is
being late. Yeah.
exactly if I have an appointment at 2 o'clock, forget it. The morning doesn't even
My
exist.
whole
I'm
day is
literally just gonna
ruined.
sit and think about that 2 o'clock appointment for the entire morning. I will not be able to do anything. And so
I've
that's
been
why it's
thinking
hard for
about
me when
this
I have things
until
that
10.
are
Yeah.
scheduled. Yep.
I've
Yep.
been thinking about this since 10:30 in the morning.
I've
Like
been
at
thinking
some
about
point
this
I
for
have to
2
know.
days.
Well, yeah, but I was like, I have to know when I have to like actually brush my hair and like try to look like a human being
Yep.
because I'm going to be
Yep.
on TV
I
Yeah.
get
Yeah, I
so
mean, I
I
all
I have
day.
a
I thought
doctor's
about
appointment tomorrow at 2:15, and I'm not gonna do anything. Like, I'm gonna try to get work done, but it's gonna
mm,
be a struggle because I'm gonna spend the entire morning just
it. Yeah,
glancing at the clock every 2.5 minutes. Is
just
it time yet? Is it time? I should
planning,
probably shower
planning,
now. Oh, I
planning.
should probably start
Yeah,
wrapping this up. Like, no, you've got 6 hours. Relax.
yeah. We're the early ADHD people because of anxiety.
yeah, I'm horrible at it. I get so distracted by it. There's just a million blinky things in between here and there,
And
and
and I
there's
think that's why I get so obsessed with what time I have to leave and thinking about
Yeah.
it for the whole
So you
day
don't
because
miss
I'm
it.
afraid to get obsessed with anything. I'm afraid to like let myself get absorbed doing anything because
hmm.
then yeah,
Yeah.
I would miss
Then
it.
you miss it. Yeah.
There was a good question back here. Let me scroll back. Um, it's a dragon heavy series, obviously, but in book one, we learn about the animosity between wolf shifters and dragons. We're also aware of other paranormal beings. Are we going to see more interaction between these types in the future, whether in this series or possible spin offs?
Yes.
A great question.
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
have some ideas. You might see some more paranormal creatures weaving into the rest of this series. And we're definitely having some talks already about some possible different series to do once the Drake Security's done.
That's
Yeah, book
awesome.
2 has even more
Yeah.
paranormal characters in it than book 1 does because their mystery is much different than the first one. So
Mhm. It's more
um,
magical.
early readers have told us, yeah, it's a little more magical. Early readers have told us now, if you want to talk about scared, launching a debut book under a pen name is scary, but
Mhm.
launching the second book in that series is terrifying.
It is,
Because
especially when they liked the
you
first one
don't,
so much. Then it's like, oh man, okay, what if we were a
yeah, you're
one-trick
like, oh
pony?
God, what if we fuck it up? What if we fuck it up? What if they really liked it and they hate the second one? You know, it was really scary. So when our ARC readers started saying nice things, we were like, oh, okay, we can take a breath now. Yeah.
Well, it's the imposter syndrome that gets every
Exactly.
single one of us
Yeah.
all the
Right.
time. Yeah, me too.
I know. I've
Yeah, we
written
love that
over
for
60 books. I think 62 or 63 books at this time. And seriously, every single time I get to the end of a book, I'm like, well, that was garbage. All right, everyone's gonna hate it.
every
Moving
time.
on.
No, she gets
Every
to the
time.
50,000 word mark, and then I got to talk her off 10 bridges
It's true.
for the
I'm
next
gonna
week.
just throw it out. This is terrible. It's the
I
worst.
don't think this is good. I don't think this is. I'm like, okay, yeah. Well, I'm your alpha reader, and I say keep writing the damn thing.
That was actually how she became my alpha reader. Was I was writing the third book in the Four Bears Construction series, and it was just so much pressure because the first two books were so well loved that I was like panicking, and I was like, this is terrible. I can't even write this. I was a few chapters in, and I was just totally stuck because it was so much pressure. And I was like, okay, I need somebody to alpha read for me and just tell me if this is garbage. And the best friendship ever grew from there.
I volunteered. I volunteered because I have no problem telling people if something they wrote is garbage. Well, I hate actually being asked by authors because if I don't have a relationship with you,
Mm-hmm.
because I have an obligation to tell you if it
Mm-hmm.
sucks. And I'm going to hurt your feelings and I don't want to. But if you ask me, I don't really have a choice. So if any authors are listening to this and thinking about
Don't ask
asking
Mia for
me,
advice unless you want your feelings hurt.
unless you want to be told honestly, not
So
that I'm
yeah,
automatically hurt your
yeah.
feelings.
So it's rather toppy of you, but all right, I get it.
Well, you know, if the harness fits.
I really appreciate both of you coming on. You know I love you. Thank you so much. And there's been a buzz about this particular episode, and they've been talking about it in a Discord on and off, which is also weird because I didn't even
Oh,
connect that both of you were like my brain is the strangest fucking. Well, they've been talking about it like I'm a fucking idiot. Anyways, so thank you, and you're welcome individually or together anytime in the future. Please feel free to come back. I think I got the questions this time. I knew there were going to be some like in-depth ones, so I was looking. But if you'll check the comments after the show and
Yeah,
answer if anything I missed, I'd appreciate it.
for sure.
Is there anything else you want to tell the crowd about what you're working on in the future? You got any life lessons? How to avoid excessive pre-com? Anything like?
Never avoid excessive pre-cum. It's natural and nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you want to find out more about Mika Nix, just make sure to check out Wicked Hot Mates because that's where we post all the Mika Nix stuff.
Excellent. This is the easy part. Unless Mia, do you have anything to add?
no, no, that's you can find us there, and obviously you can find us separately easily
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, this is the easy part. Wave at the camera, and we will see you
Thanks
all
for having
later.
us.
Peace out.
Bye, everyone.